Hi. Hey guys, what's up? Okay. What's a better way I could start a podcast? Been sitting on my mind a lot lately that I've started nearly every video for as long as I can remember the same way, and it always, even to this day, has felt awkward. I don't even know what about it feels awkward. I don't know if I'm just being super self-conscious. It just feels weird to turn on a camera and try and be smooth and say hello. Definitely overthinking it. Anyway, welcome back to another Coffee Talk podcast episode. Intro yet to be determined. Maybe I'll just stop saying anything at all, but it would be weird because the whole concept of my podcast is that you come and you sit down over a cup of coffee in a virtual cafe with your virtual friend, right? And like that's always what I've wanted these to feel like you are literally sitting across from me having a drink, even if you are listening to this and you walk and you drive or whatever it is. I've always wanted to feel like when I'm sitting down, I'm talking to a friend over coffee. Maybe that's the better way to put it. And that's the vibe I try and go into these myself. Like when I get ready, I'm like, I would get ready like I was going to meet a friend for coffee and then changed out of my pajamas and put a little bit of makeup on. Today I'm drinking a maple half-calf coffee. Let me know what you're drinking or doing or any of the above down below. But today I am gonna change the format or start to work or play with the format of my podcast episodes a little bit, because as much as I would definitely sit down with a friend over coffee and jump into a topic and, you know, talk the shit out of that topic, I think for the most part too, when I sit with friends and actually hang out with friends, we also talk about a wide range of other things. And so I've been saving a collection on Instagram for a while, and I'm gonna allow myself to go past my time limit for Instagram today, which if you want to know anything about that, then check my vlog channel. I just did a dopamine detox that had to do with social media. So I have a 15-minute timer on Instagram for my phone a day. We'll make Coffee Talks an exception though, because for a long time now, I have been saving this collection on Instagram called Talk About It, and I have not used it. You know when you save things on social media and you're like, oh, I'm gonna use this later, and then you never use it later, or maybe you do. There are some things I definitely use later, but this collection has not been one of those things. Like it is full of just concept or ideas where I'm like, oh, that would be a fun conversation to have. Please, I mean, I can't say please don't judge me. I'm putting this out to the internet. Everybody has free reign to judge anything and everyone. But like, I'm judging me, and I maybe need to tell myself not to judge me. But why did I save this? May you manifest someone who loves every ounce of you. The warrior, the submissive, the super loving, the sexy, the relaxed, the quiet, the talkative, the giving, the needy, the vulnerable, the sensitive and strong, the absolute whole, gorgeous being that you are. I agree with this statement. By all means, I agree. But if I were to talk about this right now, I would be like, yeah, duh. I don't know where I was gonna make that into a, maybe if I was talking about love and just wanting to, I don't know why I saved that. Let's see this next one. The super deluxe full moon eclipse in Sagittarius with extra sauce. I think I've saved some things wrong in here. And the first post in here is Brad Pitt photographed for the Rolling Stone in 1999 wearing a dress. This was Hollywood that posted, just wearing very feminine clothes. I thought that this was a beautiful photo shoot, and I was like, this would be a fun thing to talk about. Oh, see, we got a picture here from Julia Roberts from Notting Hill premiere. This is like the reverse of the Brad Pitt picture. This is Julia Roberts with armpit hair and thriving. I guess it's just interesting that these things were being, these limits, these boundaries, these norms, these things were being pushed far before this generation, but it makes it seem like, or sometimes there's this narrative that it's like, it's this generation, it's this time in the world that we've been pushing against these things. But no, that was happening in 1999. It's just cool. We'll dive into a talk about it topic each week, and I don't know if I'll put them at the beginning of our conversations or the end. I'll always just slice it in somewhere. This week, I'm actually finding it a little difficult to record today because all I can hear is Easton, and maybe that's a good segue into today's conversation. It's like a choice in front of me right now to like pause the camera, take a second, wait until, because Ryan's with Easton right now, like wait till Easton settles and continue having my conversation, or just use this and like move through with this openly on camera. So I guess I'll just try option 2, and if it sucks, I'll edit it out. But all I can hear as I'm trying to host today's conversation is Easton. It's weird because I feel so in between right now. In this stage of my life has definitely changed over the last bit. My life has definitely transitioned. I've transitioned a lot. And a big part of that is becoming a mother. And it's so interesting because I still love these spaces that I have. If anything, I'm feeling a whole renewed sense of inspiration and motivation and wanting to refresh all of the corners of my life. Like not just my home, which is what I'm doing this week with spring cleaning, and also feel a new sense of excitement and motivation and inspiration to just refresh all of the areas of my life, including my podcast, including my vlog channel, including just the areas in which I'm creating and the areas in which I show up in the world. It's weird because I say that even with some hesitancy, because you can walk away from the internet at any point. I could walk away right now and go get a normal job or go back to school or do something else, you know? And I don't. I maybe don't have a fully formed thought on that yet, so perhaps I shouldn't be fully talking about it. I guess, yeah, coming back to my original thought, I've just been feeling new in a way, or refreshed. If I were to put it into a metaphor of some sense or give you a visual, it would be like I wrapped myself up in a cocoon through pregnancy and I've emerged on the other side, which is a bit corny and a little bit overdone, the whole butterfly cocoon concept. But I do feel like I have transformed or just evolved a lot over the last year, if not more now. And with that, I want to pick through, you know, declutter my life and choose what I want to evolve and grow with me. My podcast being one of those things. So that's why I'm trying some new things. That's why I'm like, how do I want to introduce myself if someone were to just watch this for the first time today? How do I want to show up in the world in ways that I feel like I'm adding value, you know? And also with that, I'm trying to gauge and figure out, how do I show up in the world as a mom? Or I guess more specifically, how do I show up on social media as someone that is now a mom, but that's still not all I am. And a lot of people that have come with me this far have been people who were with me from who I was before and coming with me to who I am now. So there's such a tricky balance with that. Again, I don't want to call it hard. It's not hard. I love it. I love this puzzle that I've been given. I love having to decipher this challenge, but I'm just kind of caught in this place where I want to be able to be all of the parts of me, which is important, but I get caught because I'm like, I don't want to talk about being a mom too much, because then all the people that either don't want kids or aren't in that phase of their life yet, like that's going to make them leave me. Or like, I don't want to not talk about it because there are people that have found me through my pregnancy or have found me into motherhood or have gone through that experience themselves, not even finding me that way, and they want to talk about it. You want to hear about it. I'm talking to so many people. It's just like, I guess it's just the conundrum of, you know, my brain hasn't evolved for this yet. I think that's what it's at. But I can hear Easton like making noises and it stresses me out because I want to be here and I want to be talking and I want to be hosting this podcast and I want to be out there and I want to make sure that he's happy and he's okay. I mean, now he sounds better. It sounds like Ryan maybe took him upstairs. That's just the messy medium of where I am right now between all of these things. I feel like I'm caught in an in-between in this chapter of my life, and it's a beautiful in-between, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And I plan on, you know, slowly breaking out just the odd episode here and there where I can talk about the transition of going into motherhood and how I'm finding that balance. But I feel like I'm very much in a student phase of my life right now, going through, or how to go through the transition from mom for maiden to mom or something like that, you know. But it's like, who am I to even tell you that? I'm going through right now and I'm still trying to figure it out. And that makes labeling coffee talks or coming up with super hit home conversations that have a lesson learned or a takeaway or you know, teaching. I guess that's what I'm saying, is in a very, very zoomed out way. Who am I to teach when I am in the student phase of my life? Who am I to lead when I'm in the learning? And I'm very much in the student learning phase of my life right now, be it with being a mom and even coming back to content again. I feel like I'm looking at everything right now as a student, or I'm looking at everything with fresh eyes and just being like, if this was all new to me, how would I do it? It's a very refreshing perspective to be taking on life right now, especially aligning with spring. It's making me feel very inspired and motivated, but it's also, it feels messy. I can't tie things up with a bow and collect my thoughts or title things right, or, you know, have a sense of consistency when I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing with a lot. I'm just in the middle of figuring it out as I go, and that's a normal place to be. There's literally nothing wrong with that. I think it just gets tricky when you're supposed to be almost packaging yourself up to sell yourself on the internet so that people will follow you because that's how you get paid. That's such a, like, point blank, that's my truth. And it's so weird because it's like, Do you talk about that? Do you not talk about that? How does that fit into what I do? And again, I feel like I can't even dip further into that because even that, like, these are things that are sitting with me right now. They're sitting with me hard. They're sitting with me strong. I'm glad I've made certain decisions that I have so far, but I still feel like I'm like, oh, what's my choice there? I don't know if this is making sense to anybody, but I guess that's my word vomit of the day. Maybe I can just chapter these by that. Like, here's our talk about it. Here's my word vomit or my thought spiral. Could be another great word for it because they might not always spiral back to the center, but that was a little thought spiral. And something that I actually do think would fit really nicely into this too, and I've been meaning to do this for so long, is I posted, it must have been December, ask me anything about the transition into motherhood. But this is, again, like I said, something that I'm learning how to balance into what I do, what I talk about, what I create, the space that I hold on the internet and the things that I create with that space. So sometimes I find it hard for me to even know where I'm heading in a conversation, and it isn't until I sit down and edit them where I'm like, oh no, okay, you were making sense, you were fine. Or at least to myself I was.
Many times over the past few months and even the past few years, I've needed time to just sit, breathe, and be in my own headspace, in my own heart space, just give myself a chance to really catch my breath. Sometimes I can do that on my own, but many times I find it helpful to do with a guide. And an amazing place that you can go to find all kinds of guides to get into that headspace is Headspace. Headspace helps improve your mental health through guided meditations, mindfulness practices, breathing and calming exercises, and so much more. These tools can help you reduce anxiety, they can boost your mood, and they can even help you fall asleep better. There's a wide range of teachers with very diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to ensure that there's a teacher and content that can actually help you given the state that you're in, whether you're a first timer or you've been practicing meditation or mindfulness for years. They combine scientifically proven benefits of meditation and mindfulness with modern practices through their experienced meditation teachers, with customized, personalized approaches to help you navigate through all of life's moments from big to small. And when you only have a few minutes to get into that right headspace, there are programs to do on the go when you're pressed for time. Headspace has the world's largest library of content with over 1,000 hours of clinically proven mental health exercises. Some of my recent favorites have just been breath work. Taking a moment to tune into my breath without needing to think through anything, without needing to reflect, without needing to figure out answers. It's so easy to get lost in, okay, what has happened? What's coming up in the future? What do I need to learn? And sometimes there are great guided meditations to help reduce that anxiety, but my go-to on Headspace is the breathwork exercises that bring me back to my breath, that bring me back to my body and allow me to feel grounded in the present moment again. Headspace has helped me and more than 100 other million people worldwide, and they can help you too. You do not want to miss this chance. They've arranged something special, and for a limited time, all of you can try Headspace for free for 30 days by going to headspace.com/talk30day. You're not going to find this offer anywhere else, and you must use the link headspace.com/talk30day to unlock all of Headspace for free for 30 days. This is not something they normally do, so definitely go check it out and give it a try for yourself at headspace.com/talk30day.
So I'm going to end today's conversation answering a few responses from back in December when I said you can ask me anything about becoming a mama. I'm only going to talk about things from my perspective. I won't be giving any, private information about my son or even my, I guess you could call him my baby daddy, my partner. Why was that so awkward? Why did I say that like that? I feel like because I wanted to make that joke and I would make that joke, but I wouldn't want anyone to take that seriously on the internet. But he is my baby daddy, but he's also like the love of my life, I'll probably intersplice a couple episodes over the next few months answering a lot of these questions because I think they are great questions, and I do feel like there probably will be some people out there that would love to have these types of conversations that are either thinking about becoming mothers one day or are mothers already. Instead of trying to limit myself down into boxes, perhaps the answer is to just keep branching out. And even if that means, I get a bit worried about like the 10% into 10 different ways versus 100% one way. Maybe instead of looking at it as like you have to be a singular bamboo stalk growing straight up, solid and strong, but only in one direction, versus the oak tree or the maple tree that's able to keep broadening and expanding and growing new branches. So consider this a new branch, and I won't talk about motherhood all of the time because, again, I do understand and hold space for the fact that it's not something for everybody. Can you share what you've struggled or are struggling with most? Anything you would do differently in hindsight? So what am I struggling with most is definitely balance. No matter how hard I try, something always gets left behind within the week. So if I have a week where I really need to focus on getting some work done, especially lately as I've been coming back into it, I find that then my house is more disorderly. When I find that I really want to focus on making sure that, you know, I'm on top of everything at home, it makes it a little bit more difficult to take care of my self-care. Like I will go days without washing my hair, or all of a sudden I'll look at my legs and I'm like, wow, yep, need to shave those. I haven't journaled in a while, or I'll catch myself feeling really pent up and frustrated and like I haven't done something for myself in a little while. And I think that's very easily the first thing that tends to be let go of in motherhood, is you think like you just do everything for everyone else, or not even for everyone else. Like that sounds kind of like a martyr thing. It's not. It's just more so that you feel like you've taken on this responsibility to make sure that your kid, first of all, always comes first. And that's definitely a non-negotiable for me. Like Easton has, and family has always come first. But underneath family, it's like trying to balance all of the other things has been really interesting, and trying to even just the energy it takes to set aside time to do research and try and find help. Like I don't have a lot of people around that can help me, especially now without Ryan's mom, which is like, also that comes with a whole new sector for just like needing to take time to like mourn and, you know, process and just kind of like be in that journey as well. Like there's so much going on. It's just, it can be really hard to keep everything balanced. So I would say I struggle with it the most, just because no matter what, something always gets neglected at the end of the week. Outside of my family and outside of my son, don't have time for that. There's just no possible way. But then I'll factor that in somehow to the rest of the month, or the rest of the, or like I'll plan ahead, you know, a little bit. So would I do anything differently in hindsight? No, I've loved the whole journey so far. Is it true that once you are a mother, you never feel alone? And I would say that's not true. And I can't speak for all mothers, so I should definitely make that disclaimer. But in my experience, I would say that you can definitely still feel alone, especially again, with all of that balancing, with trying to do so many things. You can definitely at times feel like no one understands what you're going through, or the pressure you're under, or how divided your brain is, or even just like what I've seen be called invisible work. Like in your mind, it might just look like you're chilling, right, on the couch watching TV, or just kind of, a lot of the times I sit, especially now we just got new blinds, so all of our windows are wide open, and sometimes I'll just sit and stare out the window, and it probably looks like I'm just chilling and watching the trees or the birds or whatever it is that's outside in that moment. But no, I'm like thinking about how I'm going to get this thing done, or how I need to plan this, or how I can't forget that. And also too, I'm at a chapter now where my baby's gone through a bit more of a routine. So he naps in good quantities where I do get time alone, or he goes to bed at a specific time now. So I do get a couple hours sometimes to myself, especially if Ryan has hockey. So that's just my experience. I definitely have had moments of alone time, and I prioritize that. Again, it's not always gonna happen. There are some weeks where that doesn't end up being something that I get to, but I do make sure that I don't forget to section off time alone, especially because I am somebody that needs alone time to recharge. I need to be able to read my books and listen to my music, or exercise, or dance, or just, you know, be with my thoughts, or journal. Like that is so important to me as a person, for me to feel like I'm oiling my gears, if you will. So that's my experience though. And I don't doubt that there probably are some moms out there that do feel this, that do feel like they never get alone time, because everybody's circumstances are different. The next question is, how do you know you are doing the right thing? Again, disclaimer, my experience only, but I have found, and I'm still going to therapy, so I should probably factor that in too, because I would say that the person I talk about mothering with the most now is my therapist. Again, now that Ryan's mom is gone, but she helped a lot. First of all, actually, I should definitely give credit where credit is due, that Ryan's mom helped me a lot at first in terms of doing a lot of the physical things, right? Like making sure, you know, I was holding the right way. And I also had midwives. So for the first 6 weeks after I delivered my son, I had midwives coming for the first week almost every other day. And then they come and see you once a week. So that when I had questions, I was able to ask people that I really trusted and not get lost in the wormhole of the internet. And I also had Ryan's mom who helped. And I also have my sister who helped a lot too, in terms of just like day-to-day questions, or I'd be like, okay, like, is this normal? Or how do I do this? Or, you know, just little things like that. But in terms of where I'm at now and seeing just the developmental milestones of my son, and again, not trying to get too lost in that, but just trying to look at him and just understand him and try and see or gauge or make space for him to show me or communicate with me the way that his brain is working, or the way that he is ready to move forward, or needs to, you know, pause, or might need more comfort, or might need a little bit more like pushing along. That is coming from a lot of intuition, which again, I can only be in that place when I'm making sure that I'm semi-chilled. You know, I've had some alone time, or like the house is done. There are things that stress me out, and when I'm stressed, it is hard to be in that place. But again, trying to really understand him, I'm learning by following his lead in a way, in some ways. I mean, obviously he also is learning from following my lead and our lead, or like his dad's lead. But I definitely feel like in terms of right now that I've gone through the first few months of really learning a lot more of the logistics of what you need to know to have a baby, I feel like now I'm learning a lot more of kind of the underlying stuff through sitting and wondering, and even just trial and error, being like, oh, like that didn't seem to work well, let's try this. And so that would be my answer. So that's my conversation for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to space these questions out, as I mentioned, over a couple different episodes. So I won't make every episode about being a mom, but at the same time, it is very much a big chapter of my life right now. I am definitely holding space that that's not going to be the case for everybody. I take these things into account. I try and really, you know, it's weird. Again, with social media, you really should just be able to show up on the internet and, you know, say what you want to say, or do what you want to do, or create what you want to create. But that's not the way that, again, things run intuitively for me. I do try and factor in anybody that would stumble across this or come to click here or spend their time here. Like, this is your time. This is your energy. I appreciate that you're using it or spending it on me in the internet world. The fact that people will tag me and tell me that coffee talks are part of their daily routine, or when they go to walk their dog, like that is an honor. That is so amazing that someone would go walk with their dog. That's such a precious moment, and think, I want to listen to a coffee talk right now. So that's why I factor these things in so heavily, why I think about them so heavily, because I want people to feel like they are included or thought of, or just like you get some sort of takeaway, or is that, I don't know, it's impossible to do. It's a parasocial relationship. It's really impossible to do without actually getting to know you, but I try. I try and factor in by reading comments and just kind of sensing the feedback. So if you have any thoughts, please leave them in the comments below if this created any thought starters. And even if I can't answer, you guys can always continue conversations with each other, which is the cool thing about the internet. And it does really help anytime that you engage with anything that, you know, gets posted by anybody that you enjoy. So if you enjoyed this, do please thumbs it up or leave me a rating if you're listening on a podcast platform. Like, I hate asking that. It feels weird. It feels, again, I don't love this word, but it feels cringy because it just never comes out like normally, or I guess naturally. And if you would like to, I also host a membership. It's currently being hosted on the Kalyn's Coffee Talk YouTube channel. Things will be changing coming into spring, but right now that's where you can join in if you'd like to. I host weekly live streams. We do weekly challenges. We chat almost every single day, so, or at least in the members Discord. So if you'd like access to that, definitely come check that out as well. And outside of that, I'm wishing you guys all an amazing day or night or evening or whatever it is you're doing after this, and I will chat with you guys all over our next beverage. Bye, guys.